where k divides into, and maybe rubber ducking it here is what's going to fix this. K divides into the total length. How many times? Yeah, as long as when we end, we're on the same number still. So in this case, at I3 and J5, we should have 3 and 3. So then we've never broken our invariant that these numbers should always be the same. Because if they're not, we just return true. And so at the end, we check if they are the same. Then that's cool. That means we probably have repeating patterns. But it has to be at least twice. Right. Which I guess that would be, actually. Yeah. Okay, so let's try that. If it doesn't work, that's okay. We'll move on to the Haskell stuff, because that's what we're here for. Bakamud. I'll forget K then. Just return false. False true. Num I is equal to num j. Return false, otherwise true. Okay, let's comment out that. Comment out my little test. Or uncomment that, maybe. Compile. Okay, so that one's valid, yep. This one should be invalid. Oh. Hang on. It should be the inverse. I messed it up. Something's wrong. Okay, yeah. That's wrong. So, in order for this to be correct, the prefix, the total size of our string has to be a multiple of our prefix in length. The prefix is length. Okay, so j should be 3, so that's a length of 3, and if our input length is 6, pop those in there. Size, num size, and ek. Yeah, that wouldn't be right. Num size is 5. K is 2. Oh, because we don't even know we have a prefix yet. Yeah, okay. Well, much ado for nothing. I'm going to have to put that one down. go and get Bakamud going. Yeah, kill that. Kill all those. That. Cares about those. That. Okay. So if it's your first time tuning in, welcome to the stream. I usually do these streams on Tuesday evenings, and I do stuff in functional programming. Functional programming, really. And for the most part, that's been Haskell. Haskell's a pretty cool little language. Some may agree, some may disagree. If you're curious, you disagree, that's okay. Maybe we'll change your mind. Maybe we'll learn something. Who knows? But for the past little while, I've been working on a little project to implement a multi-user online game engine. Okay, we're calling it Bakamud. And yeah, it's written in Haskell. It is going to be programmed in Lua. And yeah, so let's get going. Last week we were working on getting the definitions of various things that you'll need in this to define like your simulation space in Lua. So we have Haskell definitions for things called rooms and exits. And we have a way of parsing the some definitions of these in Lua into the Haskell objects, these Haskell values of these Haskell types. I'm trying to remember where I put that stuff. It should be here. Simulation. I think I put it all the way in server mode code for some reason. Nope. Wait a minute, what's going on here? This seems not as I remember it, because we did do that. Where did my code go? That's main. Probably doesn't even have that. Right, of course. Don't revert. Head. What? I didn't dream it. It was real, I swear. What's going on here? Bakamud. No, the wrong branch. All right, we should have Lua parser. Language Lua, yeah, that's right. Okay, we have the types there. Don't tell me we... Did I lose? Did I... Oh man. Did I reset and lose the code? Oh, that would suck. Oh man, I must have mussed something up here. Or did I do it for components? Not rooms and... Oh, I must have done it for this then, not rooms and exits then. Okay, so we got to implement it for rooms and exits. Okay, but we did it for components. Okay. Yeah, all right. I didn't mess things up. Okay, so we did implement this so that basically we can parse the Lua source file, and as long as you write the source file in a certain, you write the definition of this component in a particular way, then we get a valid component. Right? So that looks basically, maybe we can make a little test for it just to show what it looks like. Okay, I don't want followers. You're going to be reported for spam. Every stream, I swear to God. It costs them nothing to do it, I guess, right? And they never really get caught. So I don't know, Twitch. Reporting and stuff isn't really working that well. I know it's a platform issue, but I wonder if there's something else that could be done. All right, so we're gonna do test data component slash test component dot Lua. All right, so they basically, you write a Lua table definition, and we give the name of the component as the variable name. So let's say we call it test component. All right, and then we got to write our table definition. So this could be like health, and then equals int, and status could equal stir. Okay, valid Lua code. We can parse this with Haskell and pattern match on it and create a structure representing a record representing our a component. So if we set up tests, let's do this hspec. And we're going to describe it's almost, I'm not going to write too many tests here. I'm just going to write the one because it's almost going to be right by construction, but it serves kind of like documentation as well of stuff. Hey, Cookie Cutter Munster. What's going down? Welcome to the stream. Nice to see you again. Hope you're doing well. What sort of stuff have you been working on? Have you been doing Advent to Code as well? Doing some Haskell programming? What's happening? Just return true. That's not going to compile yet, so we got to bring in the hspec dependency. Go to the test package. We'll just get the latest one that we can. Doing all right. That's good to hear. When this Python online book you were using had a bunch of runtime errors, and your life continued to be crazy in other ways, you kind of gave up for a bit. In a weird place, but may reconsider. Cool, cool. Have I been? I've been as well as I can be. You know, I am also in a weird place. But weird is just different. It's uncomfortable, but it's not the terminal state. Things will change once again. But we're rolling into that season. Good vibes going around, you know. Hopefully it brings people together. That's what we always hope, right? What is it? Test? Is it test.hspec? I think it's test.hspec. That's good to hear. Feeling hopeful is nice. I much prefer it to the alternatives. Well, I hope you get back into that book, or if you maybe dropped off because it was boring, you find something interesting. Yeah. Oh, sorry, it. That's what it is. Content was good, but there were these errors that started confusing you. Ah, okay, okay. Yeah. You gotta start with explaining the errors, you know? Or at least what could go wrong with things. Okay, so it's the return type block for it definitions is not Boolean. It is something else. It's an expectation. Yeah. Yeah, should satisfy. Should throw all that stuff. I know all that. We all know that. The thing I'm looking for is. Who cares? Let's just go. 1. Should be. Just want to make sure that it compiles and runs. There we go. Failed. Good. Okay, running. So, next. We import Bakamud. Simulation. Component. Now we want to do a little bit of I/O here to load that file up. Test definition. So let's move this into context component. Indent that all there. Yeah. Test definition. We're going to lift I/O that into data.text read file will be the easiest because I think it's text. Qualified. Data.text.io. Coding, IO, yeah. Read file, yeah. Okay, so we want text.read file and a path. I think the path's going to be from the root. Test Lua, test component. What did I call it? Test component, test definition. Test component. Lua. Okay, and what do we get when we do that successfully? Well, we get back a either component definition. We either get a definition, a text and some and a definition, or we get component definition error. The component definition itself is not too exciting. It's gonna be a map, which we could construct. From list. Right. And that, and now our value should be parse definition of test definition, and actually definition should be right. Should be a tuple. Should be right. The name of the variable, we're going to call it test component, and the definition, and the value should be expected. Yep, got some dependencies. Just use raw text there as well. And we import map, which we're going to need containers. Make sure we're using the same version. Also there, okay. Whatever Cabal picks for us is probably fine in this case. And then we have to import it. they were there. Okay, and lift IO. Control, monad, now.class, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and it thinks it's a strings. I need overloaded strings enabled here. Okay, and left IO. Oh, okay, right. Can I just do... I can't just do that. Well, that wouldn't work either. So you looked at the book again. It's totally broken. Oh, that's too bad. So the same code that you copied verbatim from the book used to work, and now you're running it again, and it doesn't. Something has changed. If it's not the source code, it might be the Python version you're using, maybe. Shouldn't be between minor versions, but if you were like running it under Python 2, maybe, and like Python 3 or something? I don't know. Maybe the libraries? That does sound confusing, so... You gotta figure out, you gotta follow the chain of reasoning and figure it out. How it goes with programming sometimes. Okay, so hooks are fine. So I could use a hook to do it. I swear I've done it with the way I'm doing it now before. Could be. Maybe the author posted some errata or updates to their website. Might want to check that out. Gosh. I wonder about that sometimes. Like, there's a bunch of programming books on my shelf as well. I wonder if, like, they're even useful anymore. Like, the code in them doesn't even, like, does it even work anymore with stuff? I know a lot of the C books and stuff will, but... Yeah. Good luck with that. I hope you figure it out. Oh, what is it? Run IO action in HSpec. Oh, run IO. That might be it. I might be trying to use lift IO, but it might be has HSpec or it's run IO. Something special. Oh, there we go. Cool. So we see that works. There you go, get rid of that. So the expected should have the health D and health status D string. So let's just format this a little bit. We got this NVMe SSD card. You got insurance on it because it's a new enough technology that some things are iffy. These became kind of a shot in the dark. Never had insured a part of that before. Yeah, computers are changing quite a lot, for sure. I'm still iffy on like getting insurance on parts because I feel like if they're gonna, the component's gonna fail, it's gonna fail in the first year. And most manufacturers will cover 1 year. Like, to the day. But I don't have a ton of data for that kind of stuff, so I don't know if it's worth it. NVMe drives, you know, they could fail. I know, I've read papers that SSD drives, if they haven't been powered in a long time, they don't retain their data. So don't use them for archiving. Basically, unless you're constantly replacing them or keeping them powered on. And even then, I wonder if NVMe drives are similar. Yeah, I've had them for a few years and a bunch of my stuff now, so totally a thing. You know, really nice, low power, low heat. I don't know what the write and reads, like the IO ops story is on them. Like, how they wear down, basically. I should look into that more. Because now, like, storage is getting, like, pretty close to RAM in terms of performance. It's kind of surprising. It has been like that for quite a few years, with SSDs even. Right, so that should pass now. And we do. So let's, so the type, just a couple more. Let's test good. I'm gonna rename it. No type check. And I want test definition for invalid definition. And super push for gaming, yep. Market seemed a little insecure, and I figured this might be more volatile than I understand at this point. That's the trick, right? High performance, but what's the reliability on them? And, like, high performance is a good thing for certain applications, but if you're storing family photos or videos, you know, it might not be the technology for you or for that particular application. I know years ago I read a story about the Showa Foundation. They were trying to, and this is related to me secondhand. They were preserving the stories of Holocaust survivors, and they originally had recorded them in VHS, I think in the 80s. and had maintained the archive on VHS tapes for quite some time. And somewhere in the 90s or maybe early 2000s, someone's like, hey, you should start digitizing all of this video footage to preserve it for the future. So like, okay, cool. So they start this project, get it underway, and then start realizing that drives have a particular failure rate. And they fail faster than the VHS tapes do. So they kind of started having a bit of an expensive problem and a difficult problem, because once digital data starts degrading, it can be recovered in some cases, but it's not always going to be, like, sometimes it's just lost, right? Which is kind of nasty. But yeah, if you do, anyways, that's a story about like the volatility of storage and why it's important, and to think about it depending on what you're doing. For gaming, yeah, we're not too concerned about that. We're more concerned about performance, right? Especially as like these larger games have more and more assets, right? Like there's games I play off of NVMe drives, like Stalker 2, for example, that like even on an NVMe drive on like a really nice gaming computer that I have, it takes for freaking ever to load all of that data, compile all those shaders. It's just nuts. But doing it on a spinning drive, I couldn't even imagine. SSD, probably fine, but faster is better. They're probably estimates. Yeah, they have those kinds of numbers. They're probably just estimates based on like a smaller sample size. Like, oh, we lose 2 bits in a year or something like that off of our test device in a laboratory, right? I'm not even talking real world use either. Dust, temperature changes, all that sort of stuff. There's different specifications and like levels that you could test to, right? Anyway, I'm just going to duplicate these lines. And invalid. So we're going to go into test, data, component, and copy test component to, or I'm going to move test component good. Copy test component good to test component. Type check. Lua and invalid Lua. Okay. So the no type check case, that means like the user entered something in like foo. Some random string. That shouldn't parse. All right, that should give us a type error. And for invalid, you could basically anything else that isn't this. Okay, so let's do that. It should return a type error. Left. It will be something like component definition type error. And our value, parse definition, test definition no type check. And value should be expected. Okay, that's fine. And that's what this should be. Key, and last one. Interpretation error. I think that should do it. Invalid definition. That's a mouthful. Just cut that off there. Probably be like invalid component definition. Should be maybe the error string. So let's fix that. Why? My mouse wheel is interesting in that it spins a lot more than you think it would. Oh man, I want a cookie now. Component. Room Lua definition. I undid it as well. There we go. Okay, cool. All right, let's make a little commit for that. Add those test files, add those modifications. Add, we're going to modify tests, manually tests. Added component parse tests. Parse definition tests. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So parsing components. Got some tests there. That's great. Let's go on to rooms and exits. think I still, by convention, format them this way. Let's make sure I do that in other places. I think I do that. Yeah. Stick with our convention. Let's call it parse definition. I could put them in separate modules so that I can have parse definition for room, parse definition for exit. Or I can name them, put them together, or name collisions. I don't know which I like better. Anyways. We want to get the name of the room. Yeah, that's going to be the label that we're going to use to identify it. And the room definition. And just like we did for component, we're going to need Lua parser. And Lexer and all that stuff. It might be pretty inactive. It's about that season, though, where, you know, people's attentions are elsewhere. Okie doke, so then we parse it. We start pattern matching. We're parsing a statement in Lua code. We get left. We get a parse error. Pass that along. Otherwise, we get something else. Let's create our errors. We'll model it after our component style here. Winter is objectively the worst season? I think that might mean that it's not objectively, though. Although I do empathize with having SAD and all that stuff. 100%. That must be tough. I know the lack of light can sometimes affect people quite a lot, especially the northern hemispheres, you know? Myself, I kind of enjoy winter. I enjoy the quietness of it, especially like when I'm outside and like we get the big fluffy snow. And the world just loses a little bit of that harsh dissonance it has when, like, especially in built environments where the sounds are everywhere and always echoing off of things and making them a little bit sharper. It's very calming for my nerves. And so that's what I like about winter. But the darkness, yeah, it can be a little trying. I took up sailing this year and I quite like it a lot. And obviously during the winter I don't get to do that. Or skateboarding, so like there's not a whole lot of winter sports that I do. So maybe I need to find one, I don't know. But to get me outside more in the wintertime. Okay, right. So the case to the right. Right, we want to match a Lua sign. A list of things, Lua of our name. And we get the label. And a list of other things. Yeah, for our room definition, we're going to be another table const probably. With fields. Just as before, we're going to traverse fields. And then we're not going to pop that right into a room yet. We're going to have to pull out the values from that map and construct a record. That should give us a little bit of flexibility, so like if the user orders the fields differently or whatever, it doesn't really matter. Just as long as they have the fields that we need to construct our room. The tricky one is going to be, for example, room exits. We're going to have to do some more parsing on that value there, but the first two should be okay. Exit might have been the easier one to do, actually. Yeah, because if we do room exits this way, we have map text exit. Actually, this would be tricky to do because we haven't defined where you're going to get those exits. We could pass them in. So like you need a mapping of text exit, like this very map. In fact, you might not even need exit actually. I'm wondering if we just need the text. I think we still should actually, when we're parsing, look up into the map of known exits that we have, so we can validate the room at the parse stage. If that makes sense. So otherwise, we might end up constructing an invalid map, and we'd rather like parse the map into a valid construction rather than, and know that it's a valid construction after we parsed it, rather than having to constantly check, is this a valid map all over the place? Or assuming that it is, worse, assuming that it is, and finding out at runtime that it's not. That would be bad. Right, so let's just do it with maybe a list of text for now. And maybe it should be a set. So we don't want... I don't know if we should allow maybe we should. Maybe it's fine. Maybe users want to be able to design their game this way. But like, if you're in a room and it has west, west, and west. Alright, as exits. It would be very confusing if they were all the same. Well, it's very confusing what they're named that way in the first place. But if they all led to the same place, right? Like the same other room that exit is pointing to. But lists are generally easier to work with. Anyways, we'll get there. Okay, so we get the field map now. We need to get the room name from that map. We look up into it. We're expected to be named that and in-field map. Let's get GHCID running because I like it. We gotta import qualified, the whole module now. We don't have a value for get field. We found it here. I think we can take a similar definition. Except the parsing is going to be a little bit different here. The errors, yeah. And we don't return text to D type. We're going to return rooms. That's going to be tricky. So we'll return more text, maybe? Let's see. Well, it's going to take a little exploration, maybe. What do we get for a Lua list? We're going to parse that. Oh, son of a gun. 1 second. I keep destroying mice because I keep knocking them off my keyboard tray. Throwing them around. Poor things. This was a good one. I've tried cordless, I've tried wireless. It doesn't matter. They eventually just get totaled by me. Yeah, being on the floor is awesome. I understand that. You know? Totally understand that. I get it. I do that too sometimes. Like, I don't know, a while ago I was listening to... I think I was listening to Nebraska, the album by Bruce Springsteen. Epic album. Just amazing. Probably his best work. And an awesome, awesome piece of music. But yeah, I just laid on the floor while I was listening to the record. You know? That's winter for me. It's when I get to chill out. And I have a lot more excuses to like avoid going out. Be like, oh, the weather, oh, it's so bad, I can't go out. Oh, that's too bad. I guess I'll stay in and do some programming. Okay. So yeah. Getting the field values as we're parsing this. We want more than just strings. Lua strings are fine, but we also want to parse other ones too, like lists perhaps. Lists of strings might be the one. So let's see. Either room definition error, return text, but the return type. That's where we're gonna run into things. We could maybe come up with our own type for that. Field types. The text or list of text. You know what I mean? So that we can put this here in the return type. Field type. Note isn't in scope, that's okay. It's from, I think, control.error. Control.error.util. Sorry, I gotta adjust my mic here. Hopefully you can still hear me and everything's fine. I haven't ruined that lovely experience. Adding a pet also does help, yeah, in the winter. I now have two. I had one, Haskell cat. Now I've got two. We took in another rescue this year. That's nice. Cats are awesome, though. You know, napping with a cat is a great experience. If you're not allergic to them. And you're not mortally terrified of them. Felis catus. Okay, so we get underscore text data. Okay, cool. So, and our note here, if we can't get the room name, oh, that's nice. Cookie Cutter Munster is not afraid to snuggle with a cat, and that's awesome. So, if we can't find the room, the field name, we have some kind of room error. Field error, perhaps. So let's add that room error type. That's field type. Got a little deriving on that. You can show. Mildly allergic to dogs. This also never stopped. Yeah. Interesting. I wonder if they have like different dander or something, different proteins. I've never been allergic to either, but might depend on the alligator. Yeah. I'd be tempted until I saw an alligator. I don't mind picking up arthropods and things like that, like bugs and things like that, things without spines. But some people do. I think a lot of spiders, ants. Ants are beautiful. I love ants. They're wonderful creatures. I'd pet them all if I could. But sometimes I like to leave them alone. You know? I just want to chill. Okay, so we have the room name. What else do we need? We need the description and the list of exits. Use note again. Room definition. Field error. Missing room description. And that's because we go to look up in the map. Room description. Maybe we just want to shorten it to description. Probably want to do that. Just why prefix everything with room? Like that. And then we need the room exits. Now these are going to be a list of... I think we decided on making them the variable names. So we could do some checking there. Some validation. And so they have to be... The variable names have to be unique throughout all of your definitions, but you can have different formatted names for your in-game representation, like how that room exit name will be displayed, that kind of thing. Cookie Cutter saw an American alligator to Little Rats. At Little Ray's. Okay, downtown. There was a reptile zoo there. Okay. Yeah, and you totally wanted to pet it. Yeah. Totally. It's a danger pet. Room definition. Field error. Missing exits. Look up exits in our field map. Which means that the type of our field map is going to have to be a map of... Yeah. Oh, yeah, room field types. Yeah, that'll be fine. Maybe you do need lizards. Okay, and then our hole here. Just clean this up a little bit. All that word wrapping and stuff is getting annoying. Okay, so if we have all of those things, then we return our label and a constructed room of the room name. In fact, I could probably just use record wildcards here. Okay, so then we need a field type there. It's going to be like type. Type. Room definition, interpret error. So interpreters, not necessarily like the Lua itself failed to parse, but it's not what we are interpreting it as. Okay, parse field type. So Haskell's telling us already the type it needs to be, which is nice. That's what I like about it so much. Why is it text? Oh, because we're only doing string. Right, okay. That's going to be problem number one. We're going to modify this a little bit. That works for purely for text. So we don't even need to parse the field type here, actually. We just need the value. The only one we really need to parse is going to be get field, Lua. And maybe this won't actually be that complicated. We still need the name and we need the something. And that's what I need to figure out next. Language Lua. Basic type. We got table consts. Prefix. efun. Arg. I think it's going to be table const with list of table fields again. Where our table field is going to be just field. List of fields of strings. I think it's going to what it's going to look like. Just one list. Okay, and fields. So we're gonna map over that. We're gonna want to get only text fields in there. No. No, not text. Arg. Expression field. Think expression fields. Got a follower. Interesting. Luthan 0000000. If you're not a bot, chat, man. Chat, friend. Yeah, let's go to the REPL and see what our pattern match is going to look like. Language Lua.parser. syntax, and annotated Lexer. Okay. We want to parse some text. A statement. And our Lua code is going to be room foo equals and here we're going to have room name. Let's just focus on exits because I'm pretty confident in that one. Exits. And that's going to be another Lua table. And I want these to be just variables. Hopefully that's a valid Lua. Right. Again, text problems. Overloaded text. Overloaded strings. Okay, this is what we want. This is what we want to match on for this table const part, is these fields. A bunch of these. If we get anything other than these, we should fail. So we're going to have to map a whole bunch of those. Where are we? Fields. I think we could see exits, traverse, exit fields, over fields. And then we can turn here, strip name. And then we got to construct out of exits the type, room exits, list text. Of exits. Okay, get exit field. It's going to be a Lua.table field. Either room definition error or some text. Does that seem right? Table const. Yeah, table field is the type, right? Yeah. Table field is the type. And we're going to pattern match on field prefix exp. So that one. Yeah, that seems like we're on the right path here. School still looks like absolute gibberish to you, System Carl. Maybe it's just the way I write it. I don't know. It used to look like absolute gibberish to me a long time ago before I decided to learn it, to be honest. There was a good period of time where I completely bounced off of Haskell. I tried learning it way back in 2008 or so, when it was like popular to learn it for a little while, for a very brief moment in history. And yeah, didn't get too far. I was like, oh, all these dollar signs and double colon and all this stuff, because I'm used to C-like languages, right? And maybe Lisp at the time was probably the most exotic language syntax-wise I'd worked with. And Haskell's like a completely different monster. But you do get used to it, and eventually your brain flips around. And you get, you're like, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. And now, like, other languages look a little bit weird too. And you're like, I don't know about this. So it happens. Okay, so we're going to continue our pattern match here. Also, welcome back to the stream again, System Carl. Good to see you. Prefix PEVAR. var name. 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 I want to pattern match all of that. And we return here that. Your name. Anything else is no bueno. So we will return an error. Room definition field error. Interpret error. Not a valid exit variable. Yeah, exactly. You know, and that, like, same thing, like when I bounced off of it, I didn't get too far into it before I was saying, you know what? That's ain't for me. And for years, I had a very poor opinion of Haskell because of that. And I had a lot of people to look up to who shared similar poor opinions of Haskell. And so it was very easy to rationalize giving up on it, saying, you know what? It's probably a terrible language and not worth my time. And not feel bad about giving up on it. And I didn't for a long time. And so I was sitting down with a friend of mine who had taken time out of their lives to teach me some maths and stuff like this, and like really make me a less ignorant person. And they were writing their own model checker, which is like this formal methods type of program. You'd use informal methods for writing like a formal specification. They're writing a model checker for this language that they had created. And they wrote the checker in Haskell. And so they would often at our lunchtimes together talk about Haskell. And me, being super experienced programmer of some 13, 14 years at the time, maybe more, was like, Haskell, though, you know, it's not a language you can write real software in, you know. And they're like, what do you mean? And so we got to talking, and it became very quickly apparent to me that I was a dum-dum and not right about this. And so I wanted to change that so I didn't look like such a dum-dum with bad opinions. So since then I try and keep my mouth shut when I don't really know, because I haven't really used the language, whether it's good or not. And I try not to repeat what other people say about it until I've actually like gone and learned it. Because I learned enough Haskell and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. Well, dang, I guess I lost that one. I guess I was wrong. And just as life goes, that person no longer doesn't really write that much Haskell these days. they end up writing more like proofs in C++ and Rust and stuff than they do Haskell. So it is what it is. Languages, they come and they go. They're useful for different things sometimes. Okay, so we got get exit field, which is great. We're still getting, oh yeah, I got some Lua prefixes to add here on my pattern match. Room definition. Interpret error. I don't have a field definition. Just interpret error. Field error. I should do a field error. Oh. Did I accidentally get rid of drop around? Oh, I must have oh, I probably did. Oops. No, I just didn't import them. Okay, that's what it is. As I copy-pasted this text. Alright, so you're thinking of learning a little Rust system, Carl. Cool, cool. Yeah, you should check out my... if you're not doing Advent Code and you don't mind the spoilers, I'm doing Advent Code in C this year to try and sharpen up my C skills. C was one of the first languages I like seriously used. And it's been a lot... I've used it throughout my career for various things, but I don't use it as a daily driver, so I wanted to like take some time, get back to it, because I've been doing stuff in Zig and learning a little bit of Rust too. I'm working on the Rust book. You know, I've like hacked around in Rust, but I've never really like dove in on it. And you got to be pretty fired up and pretty talented out there these days. No, I mean, you need to be talented, but you need to be like prepared, right? Like, there's so many languages out there now, and there are companies doing them in various places, and you got to be able to pick up new languages, you know? So someone's like, hey, we do Rust, but we've got this cool job doing this cool thing. I'd be like, okay, well, you know, I know enough. Rust, I could do it. Which is tough because, like, I don't know, in this day and age of keyword matching and like software that kind of manages your inbox of resumes, you know, you gotta imagine somebody on the other side is just scanning through that, and like they've got 1,000 resumes in the first day to go through, right? Like, they're gonna rank things and they're gonna look at keywords, and be like 100 people who know Rust. And if you're like, well, I know Haskell, I can pick up Rust, like, if that's not the problem, they're gonna be like, they're not even gonna notice, right? Because they're not programmers, right? They're HR people. They're not really trained to think that way. So you gotta have them keywords in there. You don't want to lie about knowing Rust either, because that would be bad if you show up. You're like, no, what I'm doing. Angular? You know what? I think you'll be fine. I think you'll do well. I have a feeling. I know Angular's got its own, you know, framework-ish-ness to it, its own patterns and things, but the underlying language still, at least, is relatively the same, so you'll be okay. Okay, I gotta import drop around, and a couple other things. I did import it that way. I'll do it the same way here. I forgot my type up here. Why isn't that working? Control.error.util. The type of note should be A, maybe B. Right. Oh, okay, yeah. Right. Here is not the place to be doing this. Room name here. Yes, I'll put an underscore there and you'll see. We need to return either a room definition and error text. We need a function. Okay, that takes the maybe text room field type. Okay, that's almost right. So hang on. That's why. Anyways, that's the reason why. So note here, I'm using room name as just text, but it's a tuple of text and room field type. So what we want to do is just reach into that maybe and put a little function in there, map a little function over its contents. It's time for fmap. So if you think Haskell's confusing system, Carl, this is going to get even more confusing. We're going to put first, no, second. It's going to be even more confusing. That's still not going to type match. Because now it's room field type. Maybe room field type is what we change it to. We have mapped over it. We want it to be text. For that room. So we need to... room name is going to be room text. The value is going to be room text, hopefully. Text. And just diminishing returns of my confusion. That's okay. I'm not going to teach you a whole bunch right now at the moment this way. This is not the format. But if you have questions and you're like, what the F? Could you explain that? I'm happy to take diversions. Although we're running a little low on time for that, so maybe next time. But let's try and get this type error before we go and get this to work. So I just have another function here. Haskell's not showing me what that one should be. But it should be. Like, say, R. Probably get room field text. And I will put it down here. And it should be room field type. Haskell's getting a little confused about what to infer it as, but I'm going to tell it what it should be now. And I'm going to tell it it's going to be maybe text. So if I have a room field text, then I can just return that. Otherwise, anything else, just nothing. That's not a scope. I called it room text. Awesome. Okay, now it's doing double maybe on that. So I need to remove a layer. Oh, it's reaching in again. All right. Put a hole there. So I want a function of maybe text to either room definition or text. Oh, probably because I gotta put this in parentheses. And we're getting a type match here now because string. That's because down here in get field, Lua string val here is a string, not actually text. We gotta do some hacking of that. So I'm gonna bring in data.text. There we go. Now we're on 49. What's on 49? Yeah. Overloaded language. Overloaded strings again. Okay, there we go. That is a bit of gnarly Haskell right there, I gotta say. It's not the cleanest. Basically, it's reaching down into this map to look up this name in this dictionary. And doing some transformation on the value that gets returned. Which returns a maybe. So maybe we get maybe the value we want, but since we're in the context of an either, we can either return an error or something, not a maybe something. So we have to give a value for the error part, which is what the note function does. And its first parameter is the error part that we want to give from the maybe. So if it's just, we map it to the right side and return the value, and if it's nothing, then we supply this room definition field error there. So it's kind of a long-winded way of not super long-winded. I don't know. It's a thing. There are ways to get even more clever with it to like clean that up and make it a little neater, but sometimes I write Grog Haskell. If that makes sense. Okay, so the next one is kind of a funky one here. We map that lookup. We do our note, but yeah, we don't want that either. It should have a similar format to this. Because again, it's just text. You make all here by JavaScript lookup. That's the downside of like, you know, being what is it, like knowing more than one language, you know? Like sometimes I write stuff like I'm in C again, or I write stuff like I'm in Haskell again, or JavaScript, and you get things mixed up. And it's really frustrating trying to remember everybody's like built-in libraries, standard libraries and stuff too. This one. Okay, I've gonna bunk something up here, actually. What did I go do? Alright, so this hole here wants to be of type tuple text and room field type to text. Why is that all of a sudden? That should be maybe, shouldn't it? Oh, because it's fmap, right? Okay. No, we want room field type. So do second. Room field type to text. We don't have that, but we have maybe text. Join. It's probably not the right way to do it. Join, not the best. It helps sometimes. Even very similar languages have their bias and culture. Yeah, true, true. I learned a lot of tricks I wouldn't have learned just conforming to one language and style. Yeah, I agree. I think there's lots to learn. Like having like learned Haskell and used it professionally for a few years, or a bunch of years, 4.5 years. Doing this stream and stuff like that, I've definitely learned a lot about things, and I think I do. I don't know if I would say I take it back to C or things like that exactly, but maybe a little bit. You know, it's left an impression. It's made me think about things in a slightly different way, like having to work with stuff that's immutable by default, and less explicitly saying that you know you can mutate this. In C, a little bit more free-form mutation is kind of the norm, so it would look a little bit awkward there trying to make everything immutable. At the same time, it gives you an appreciation for controlling where and when immutability happens. So like I'm a little bit more careful about, or at least I try to be a little bit more careful about where I introduce mutability into my programs. Things like that. I don't know what Perl was supposed to teach us, but have fun? I don't know. be a poet. Okay, so now the hole is room field type to maybe text. We have a function to fill that hole. It's called get exit field. Or no, get room field text. Okay, so this error. Oh, map.lookup. I probably got the arguments wrong. Yeah, that's better. That needs a join as well. See, I can extract this. So there's a similar pattern here. So like I can extract this out to like a little helper function to do those lookups. Yeah, YOLO languages. YOLO languages can be a lot of fun though. Like I did program in Perl a fair bit, and like you can write decent code in it. But it's got its own idioms and ways of thinking. But you can easily write a complete mess in it though. And you can intentionally write a complete mess in it. I used to really enjoy, there was a site called Perl Monks. I don't know if it's still there. No, I think it's down. Maybe it's not. I don't know if it's still there. But this site used to have a little section for like Perl poetry and like visual. It's like sort of like some people do in obfuscated C competitions where they make the source code formatted to look like an image of the thing it's going to do or to print or whatever. Weird things like that. It was a very experimental culture, for sure. Nowadays, I feel like it's pretty mature, and like the people who are still using Perl are like die-hard people who are like pretty serious but pretty set in their ways, you know. They figured things out and how to do stuff. And now they're into like the operational excellence phase of doing Perl coding. And oh, there's this error again. Yeah. Pop that down there. Pop that down there. Okay, now exits. Room exits has the similar things. Pop that over there. Okay, there we go. That's sensible. So I also gotta flip this around. This type error here. We expected a string, did we? Why did we expect a string? Okay, room field type doesn't have or do it because we use it in a hash map. We need it. What's wrong with the literal name? Map.lookup. the key is supposed to go first. That's what I thought. The heck? Oh, okay. I'm reading it funky wrong. Traverse here's building up the list of things. We can turn it into a map. We haven't done that yet. Yeah, because map.from list. And we're going to fmap over that. It's getting late on the stream, you can tell. I can tell. We gotta wrap this up real quick. Okay, so list of text. Room field type. Okay, so we need to transform that. We do have room list text to that. So we'll have to have a similar function. Just call it get room exits. Room field type, maybe list of text. Get room exits. Room exits. Get exits. Get room exits. Exist. Otherwise, nothing. I didn't call it exits. List text. List text. Let it go. Okay, so back to here to... Yeah. Room exits. Half map over that. Join in on the fun. There we go. We got a hole on 86. Parse field type. Not sure we're even using that. That's redundant, is it? Non-exhaustive pattern matches. Bam, bam. Yes, of course. We didn't fully pattern match everything. If we have right, anything else? Once more. We can return left. Room definition. Interpret. Error. Invalid room definition. Probably want a better module. Okay, that all compiles now, so it probably works, right? Let's hop over. Let's reload. We'll call like foo equals var. That should give us an error. Left, room and definition interpret error. That's right. And let's do the happy path. Room 1 equals. Yeah, you gotta put it in there, like square brackets. Name equals my room. And then you go description. It's messy. And room exits. And that should be another table where we could do like exit, just variable names. Exit 1, exit 2. And we can write parses. Yeah. I think I might want to put a little new type wrapper around those text values so we know that they're variables. So when we go to do like some more validation in the parser here, we can make sure to not mix those up with other text values, but otherwise pretty happy with that. We try to do like a mixed Lua list, we should get a left. Not a valid exit variable. And that sort of stuff. Key. Let's create a little committee commit for that. Booyah. So today we modified Bakamud simulation space. Added the parse room definition, basically. So, okay, and there we go. Push. Where are we at? Oh no, we're in a bad state. Oh crap. Okay, fix this. Take that commit hash. Check out Lua parser. I'm gonna cherry pick that onto here. There we go. We got our code. Cool. And push that up. Okay, so thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, hanging out with me, Agent Ultra. All the code you've seen for this project, Bakamud. That's all up on GitHub. Up here. On Bakamud, on GitHub, Agent Ultra, that's me. Yeah, I'm gonna paste the link here in chat for you. If you don't want to star that and follow along, that's up to you. It's all good. You know, whatevs. It's free. It's open source. We're just learning how to build a multi-user game engine in using Haskell with some Lua bindings for user code. Haskell's going to do all the like lower level stuff for us. We're going to learning about like how to use the STM library better, do some low level networking, things like that, and game servers and whatnot. So all fun stuff. You know, that's what we do. That's why we hack on things. I do these streams once a week on Tuesday evenings at 10 after 8 in the Eastern Standard Time Zone, or Eastern Time Zone. I wish there wasn't two, but that's it. Thanks for the star system, Carl. It's awesome. And so, yeah, if you want to write that down and come back next week, or turn on your notifications and follow me here on Twitch, or if you're watching my streams from my VODs on YouTube, where I back up my VODs for the stream, give us a like and subscribe there, ring the bell, whatever they say these days, and you'll get notified when I upload a new video. I'm also doing an event of code this year, and I'm streaming myself working on those for whatever masochistic reason I have brewing in my head. And I do those during the week. So if you keep those notifications on, you'll know when I'm online. And otherwise, just watch the space. You know, come back and check out sometime. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. Let's go find someone to raid. And also check out the link above my head, declarative.tv, before we go. Okay, it's got a link to a Discord server and also showcases other streamers who are doing things in declarative programming languages like, say, Elixir or Haskell or others who are looking for an audience and would really appreciate your attention and your love. So, without further ado, may all your monas be free, your types always check. Happy hacking out there. And let's get it. Let's get it. Let's find one. I believe earlier today I dumped everybody into a French-speaking channel, which is fine for me, but you might not be into that. So we'll try and find something. Okay, yeah, Quaternion Bishop. We've rated him before. Let's go. Or we can go the Primogen. Just chatting. Let's go prime time. Oh, it's back. It's offline. Ah, why is it telling me? They're live. Maybe they just finished. Also offline. Who is online? Sheesh. Okay, we'll turn following off. Delusional MMO development. Okay, also offline. Coding stream. Some Love 2D and Lua development. Could be vulgar. I don't know if I want to drop my audience into that, so... Obsidian plugin command abstractions. Alright, ODAT Nerd. We're coming in. Give them a follow if you like their stuff. Spread the love. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you soon. And I'm out.